Good afternoon or good morning, whenever you're watching this. Welcome to another edition of Mind Body Balance Coffee and Conversation. And today, my guest is my dear friend Shelley Ens of Carrot River, Shell's Fitness and Soul Center. I met Shelley, I don't know, what was it, a couple years ago already? I can't remember. Feels like I've known you forever.
Well, as you were when you were pregnant with your little guy. So
Okay, so that's been at least like 3
yeah,
years. Yeah. And I
yeah.
feel
That's
like,
how I can gauge our friendship by is
yeah,
when I see him.
yeah, that's awesome. And I'm so blessed that our paths crossed. You've been one of the most inspiring women that I look up to and that I follow, and that you lead by grace and example. And so I'm just so excited to welcome you today to talk on resiliency in my segment on resilient women. So I'm not going to talk very much. I'm going to hand it over to you, and would love for you to share a little bit about yourself. And then we're going to get into your own personal story of resiliency and how you've built that up for yourself in your life. So you just take it away, and I'm going to just listen and enjoy.
Okay, well, thanks for that great intro. Yeah, and I love the work that you've been doing and how our friendships developed and everything that you have to offer for the Northeast here, well, and beyond.
Thank you.
So yeah, I'm Shelley, and I have Shell's Fitness and Soul Center. I started out as a fitness instructor. In 2004, I became a fitness instructor, and then I became a personal trainer in 2000. And it took me 6 years because we had a blended family of 5 kids, and so I became a personal trainer. Would have been a 2-year program through Mount Royal University, but I took 6 years online. And then since then, I've been on a different journey, more of a spiritual path. Became a yoga teacher and a children's yoga teacher and a meditation training, and just a lifelong learner. I feel like I started quotes and learning things since I was a kid. Started with Bible study or like teen yoga and different things, and just learning different quotes. So I just feel like I've been a lifelong learner, and life keeps throwing stuff at me, and keep trying to learn as I go. Not with a lot of struggles and joys along the way, both. So,
Yeah, isn't that
yeah,
interesting? How when we're little, we already have these patterns where we're seeking just something higher than us. So that's really interesting you
mm-hmm,
share that, because I think a lot of women can connect to that.
mm-hmm. Yeah, and so I feel like when I took my meditation training, it really, like although I was learning all along, it felt like it really brought everything together. It was like I had all these aha moments. But I say that and then I take something else and I'm like, oh, this is it. Because right now I'm taking a trauma yoga course. She's
Mm.
amazing. And it's through the States. It's on Zoom. I've been doing it every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It's like an hour and a half. And this Friday is going to be 3 hours, I think, 3:30 till 6
Wow.
we're going to go till. And she was born in like in a war zone, Lebanon, and then she moved to the States as a young child, and then she also her dad was a doctor, and then has her master's in psychology and community, and she talks about the trauma brain, and that has been, now I'm like, oh, that also makes a lot of sense. And she calls them little T's and big T's, so little trauma, big traumas. And for myself, I've had lots of little T's and big T's, so that also I feel like has really added to, like, the meditation training kind of brought everything. And now taking this last course, it's like another missing piece of that puzzle of understanding and just realizing how much of a trauma brain I did have also.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
as you
So,
learn all of this, you probably go through layers, right? Layers of your own healing. I
mm-hmm,
know certainly happens to me.
mm-hmm,
Any of the
mm-hmm,
training that I do, it's like you're doing your own work, and that's the beauty of
mm-hmm.
it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So I took today sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead, go ahead.
Okay, I took from today. We talk about resiliency, and I had just done I did a Mother's Day retreat on Saturday, and so we started out the morning, and I have an intro to meditation that I teach. So I did the intro to meditation, and then we had some I brought a holistic healing. Amy Capeller came in. She
Mhm.
had sent out some messages, and then we had lunch. So she'd sent the recipes, and we had lunch. And then Rebecca from InStyle Salon had some hair tips, which we're all needing right now. So she did that. So it was a really good day. Um, but and so now we're continuing our meditation every morning. There's three women that did it. So there's 4 of us doing meditation every morning, just to continue, because I did show different ones. But there was a chunk of it about resiliency. So when you asked me if I would speak about resiliency, I was like, okay, this is like the part that I think Laura is looking for. So I just took my notes from there and thought I'd share that. My definition of resiliency, it's a set of skills and something that I take very seriously, because if we deal with stress before it manifests as a physical, it can become dis-ease, and it either is a detriment to our physical or mental health. And that's how I first met you too, is because I had that inflammation and I came from lymphatic drainage, and
Right.
it was like and understanding like the behind meditation is how that cortisol is pumped into our body, and if it doesn't have any place to go and to be released, and just to watch how it manifests in your body. And for myself, like my face was swelling, and yeah, there was just so many physical symptoms I had because of that disease. And so now when I read this stuff, it's like, oh, okay, that all makes it makes sense why I had to have the lymphatic drainage, right? But yeah, and different things too. I had all the signs of a heart attack. Like I phoned 911, like I'd gone to get groceries, and the time I left home, I couldn't even like move my arm. I was at the grocery store, and all of a sudden I couldn't move to put my groceries, and they had to carry them out. And then my stepdaughter was there, and I told her I'd pick some up Dairy Queen. I went to put my window, and I came out my window down. By the time I got home, I was just about collapsed. And so then we had to, but it was just all that was manifesting in my body. So I've really understood. And when I think of like now, that's why I'm so passionate about what I do, because I can see there's been different times in my life where I've just been like, oh, like, but having that mind body awareness from different things, for trainings, the different things I've done. And I've always been like, I started out as by running, really brought my awareness to my body and physically, like I said, being a personal trainer and understand my body, but also that took me on a different path because of these how my life led me to this. So I'll get into more about resiliency. So also the definition is the capacity to prepare for and adapt to and deal with perceived adversity in a positive and creative way. So in action, the individual is better able to transform challenges into an opportunity and absorb any learning offered by setbacks quickly at the minimum physical and mental cost. So that to me is resiliency, and like I said, how it manifests in my body, but having this awareness has really helped me as I kept learning. So resilient people have lower levels of depression, develop personally as a result of their difficulties, and can harness their inner strengths that help them to bounce back and better equipped for stress management. And so the 5 things is self-care as one of them, and embrace change, and finding a sense of purpose in your life, and developing a strong social network. And the 5th is to serve and support. So with self-care, for myself or with anyone, is taking care of your physical, mental, and emotional health. It changes chemistry in your body and thus influencing your physiology and making you less reactive. So for myself, just like I said, physical has been a big part of my life. I got my brown belt in Taekwondo. I used to coach basketball. I ran marathons. I did a couple full and ran several half marathons, and running still a big part of my life. Every spring, summer, I usually do a little bit. I'm part of a training challenge that's in the community here. And and then I'm doing a boot camp right away, and like just getting outside and doing that every spring too. And we have a gym downstairs, and I just finished up a program where I did a fun decathlon, and every Saturday I was doing a workout too. So just doing that fitness, staying, so you release that chemistry, that feel good in your body, and just having fun, and always taking time to laugh, dance. And we don't think that's important, but it really is. I think that's
Yes.
something that a lot of people, and I think that's a lot of people don't realize, like that, how like just laughing or dancing and how that just makes us feel good. And just being in nature too. Like my husband and I, we hike and we always try to just get out in nature. We have pathways here, and I have a tree. And I don't know if you ever saw this, Laura, but when you go down our steps, there's a little tree, and we have a little chair in there, and you can, and like one of
Yes.
our big spruce trees. So
Yes, I've seen it. I
yeah,
love,
so
yes.
like
What a,
before we, yeah. So right before we did this, I ran out there and I was like, hey, just went and sat there for a few minutes. I'm like, yeah, because just being in nature just releases. I don't. Do you know what it is? I know there's a term for it, but
well, it's very grounding. I feel like for myself, it's very grounding. And I think that just even the fact that all of our five senses can really tune into things a lot better in nature, that is really what gets us out of fight or flight a little bit faster, at least for me.
yeah, yeah, and I think like there's a terminology for it too. Just what like a tree can release. There's actually a term for it too. That's why there's tree huggers. But there
There you
really
go.
there's something in
There
trees,
you
just how
have
they,
to look
yeah,
into that.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then like I said, meditation, just getting in that moment and that mindfulness and being in the moment, those are just some self-care things. And eating healthy.
Mm,
And like I said, even when we were doing our hair, like Marie had, or Rebecca had a really good point. She said people go in to get their hair done, but they don't realize like we're exchanging energy and somebody's touching
mhm.
your hair, and there's that awareness of like in everything that we do, and that self-care. And so I don't think it's just one term. It's like such a broad umbrella that we have to when we look at self-care, and that's part of resiliency. So really thinking of it. And I can't remember, I think it's Carolyn, she says if we thought of energy like we do money, that every day if we were thought every day we start with $100 like energy. And if we had $100 and thought about when we need that $100 to live joyfully, but if we get out of bed and we stub our toe,
Mm.
and then we can spend like $10 or we can spend $2 on it.
I
Right,
like
and
that
that just
analogy.
continues throughout.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, but we need that $100 to live joyfully and mindfully, and we need to do that. And we need to think of energy that way. And that's to me what self-care is all about in our body, and how we're using our body and how we're taking self-care.
Yeah, and it's also
Yeah,
about like
that's making sense.
well, you mentioned one thing that I talk about with my body talk clients is our ancestral chi and then our gong chi, and like the amount of life force that actually we can renew. It very much aligns with what you said about the $100 a day. And there are things that we can do, breath work, eating nutritious,
Mm-hmm.
like energy dense food that will actually help replenish that chi. And I think that if we started to understand that, exactly like you said, like monetarily, like money, people change their lens a little bit more on recognizing their overreactions, their reactions, their attachments. So yeah, that's a brilliant analogy. Thanks for reminding me of that. It's been a few years since
Yeah.
yeah, love it.
Yeah, and that's like like in the Western world, we look at exchange of money and how we're spending our time and our money. Whereas that's exactly like the chi, and like in the Eastern world, they consider that more. They're more concerned about life force and
Mm-hmm.
that energy rise and how we spend energy. Whereas we look at materialistically more in the Western world. But I think it's definitely coming around, especially with this COVID,
Oh,
making a little bit more awareness that way. But
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, so then embracing change is the other one. And this is very difficult to do when an individual is sitting in ego, because we have a tendency to want to control the outcome. And that's why being mindful and surrendering to God or spirit and just making that shift to sit in the soul and witness and offer a detached perspective allows a bigger picture thinking.
Mm.
And for myself, that's been huge. When I was married for 18 years, and when I left our farm that we had built up and our home, it was like that letting go of that. And then I remember the first time I had to leave my children for 15 days. It was heart-wrenching to do that.
Mm.
I don't know if you've had to go through that
Yeah.
yourself with yours too, but just that first time, you just think as your mom, like you're there and you're supposed to be there. And that was really, really hard to let go, but you had to, for me, it was just surrendering, realizing that they weren't mine to own, and that they were already unique individuals on their own and having their own journey. And I really had to understand that to really let go of just wanting them with me. And then, I went through the court system and with my divorce, and that was a difficult process too. It was a patriarchal system, and I remember just having to fight to take anything. And it was just learning to, like, okay, whatever it is, just let it go, because it's just stuff in the end of the day. And and then going through, I lost Carter, my youngest son, 3 boys, and he was 17, and that was really a bigger surrender to trying to understand and connect to God's spirit and just really trying to understand and learn, and just connecting to sitting to that in God's spirit and trying to let go and understanding. That's taken a lot of work. And before I had read Eckhart Tolle, which I really like a lot of his books, and he has A New World, and I can't remember what the other one is, but I had done a workshop with him, and Oprah. It was an online, and that really helped me. And I think that really connecting to that when I lost Carter. And then just recently we went to Vietnam, and Thich Nhat Hanh went to where he has his practice. And I got a book there, and it's called The Art of Living, and just understanding impermanence and how everything is nothing lasts forever. There's a seed and it grows into a tree, and just really understanding impermanence and life, and how we're only here for so long, and that detachment. And that's kind of the Buddha way too, is just that detachment. So that's been embracing change and just understanding it. And Eckhart Tolle says, like, each moment, take each moment as if you had chosen it. And that way it helps you just accept things as they are, which is not an easy thing to do, but that's, yeah.
No, it absolutely isn't.
No. Really sit in the seat of the soul and just understand there's a big picture going on, more than what we can comprehend. Purpose in your life. What we do provides a sense of accomplishment and fulfillment, and dissolves feelings of isolation, depression, and hopelessness. So, and my husband is awesome that way. And I think as farmers, we don't give farmers enough credit that way, how they, like right now, it's kind of like it's the end of May, and everybody goes out and they go. I just think it's like a really good example of that, finding sense of purpose in your life, of going out and seeding, and how you have to have that sense of purpose and that belief to grow a crop every year, even though it's kind of cool now, and they're going out there seeding, and to do that year after year. I just think that really it exemplifies the purpose in your life, and that's something we all have to do, is finding that each day, getting up. And so my husband's awesome that way. No matter what's going on, he always gets up every day and has his coffee, and just that's really helped me, because there's moments where I've felt that desperate feeling and hopelessness, and that's something that I think that we all have to learn how to do, is just get up each day no matter what, and finding that sense of purpose in our life, and something that finds your passion, and so that you can keep connecting to your purpose. Laura, I seem to have lost you there. Are you still there?
Yes, I am.
Just lost you for a minute.
Sorry, my little guy just woke up, so I'm just going to press pause quick on the recording. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, yes. So the fourth thing is developing a strong social network. And Brene Brown's really good about talking about that, and how strong having a strong social network is so important in her work. So whether it's just one person, and Oprah has her Gail King that everybody can relate to, or just having that one person or an entire tribe. That studies show that the most resilient people are those that have someone to confide in, and someone who believes in them. And for myself, I have my counselor, who has become like a really good friend. He was been there, like started seeing him when I was going through my divorce. He married my husband, and I was there through losing Carter, and he's been a lifesaver for me. He's just an amazing man too. He works up north at Little Losh with different communities, and just very. He's has foster children that had disabilities that him and his wife adopted. Well, I shouldn't. They call them their own.
Mm.
She gets very upset if you say they're their own children. So just amazing people, and yeah, they've been a real guidance for me too. And I have them on speed dial. Last week was a tough week because it had been 5 years since losing Carter, and just that time it redevelops that trauma for myself. So
Mm.
yeah, there was a lot of deep talks, and it's only been 5 years, and I've talked to some people, and it's been up to 10 years. Some people never get over losing a child. Well, it's not something you ever get over, but being able to function.
Well,
So yeah, like that's a really tough. Sorry, go ahead.
well, it must feel like, I know I was speaking to a woman yesterday, a friend of mine who lost a child, and she said, I mean, time seems to go on for everyone outside of me, but for me, I'm still in that day. I can go back to that day in the blink of an eye. And so whether it's been 3 years or 5 years, for me, it's
Mm-hmm.
very real. So I'm sure it's the same for you. And those milestones,
Yeah,
though,
yeah.
those milestones, right? The 1 year, the 5 year, the Mother's Day, and every time you go through those,
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine at all. I can't even imagine. But would you say that you become just a little bit more resilient through each milestone that you have to navigate through?
Yeah, there's the book The Shack is a really good
Mm.
movie, and it talks about, it's called like the great. He related it to the great pain, and that's what I felt like. It was like that pain that you're kind of like it's just this great pain that can come overwhelming. And for myself, yeah, like I know if I could go there if I let myself, but I don't. Yeah, it's like that desperate and hopelessness that we talked about earlier. Like I try to not go there because it doesn't serve me well. Like there's a things about feeling your feelings, and that is just a feeling that I felt it a lot, and I don't have any desire to go back there. And I feel like it didn't really lift till last year. Like I felt like it didn't really lift. I can remember, and Norm just talked about that too, that last week, and he said, I can remember, he said, I just noticed a different, like when you're in your smile and the way you laugh, there was just a difference. But up to last year, it just felt like I was like still really close to it. Not that it doesn't hurt, and it's not, but that great sadness, that's what they call it, the great sadness, I think is what it's called in the pain. Have you read the book, The
Yes.
Shack? Or,
Yeah.
yeah, and I think it's called The Great Sadness, or The Great
Yeah.
Pain refers it to. Yeah. Um, but yeah, and also just going back to that social network, and having someone who believes in you, and that for myself is also my husband. That yeah, it just makes me really, he really believes in me. And I have a really good friend. Well, I have a few, and like yourself, and different one, but one person that has been a longtime friend is Amy. She's also a counselor, and her husband's an RCMP. So, and he's very well, Kirk Badger, and her name's Amy, and he deals with a lot. And so for her, and also being a counselor, she's been a real life support when we had to go for court after with Carter's accident. She was there with me, and when I thought of, and another good friend is Trudy, has been, but I just thought Glennon Doyle really had a really good example. I just read this, and I was like, that's exactly what Amy and Trudy have been. And another good friend, Amanda, is that pain doesn't, that having a really good confidant and a friend is someone that doesn't try to take away the pain. And you have to forgive yourself for not having that power. So grief and pain, like joy and peace, they're not things to snatch or take away from someone. They're sacred. They're part of your journey. And all you can do is offer relief from this fear that I am alone. And that is all someone can do, is to alleviate that and just let you know that you're not alone. And yeah, having those confidence and those friends are so important, having that strong social network. And I said, there's those, if you can have just a few of those people that that really, really have your back, because there is dark days and we all go through that, and no matter what, to what degree, different levels of, and just knowing that you have that strong social network is so important. And whether you need to go as deep as I've had to for those, because there's some been some pretty dark days, and just knowing you have some people that are just going to sit there with you in pain. Yeah, and then the fifth one is to serve and support. Our bodies and minds were designed to use the symptoms of the stress response as a means to move through challenges instead of getting stuck in them. So feel our feelings are more, but also seek help if you need it. But, and I don't want to desensitize anyone's pain, but also going through major trying times, it's really important, I know, to have things that you can serve and support. So like oxytocin is that powerful anti-inflammatory for the heart and gives us a boost. And so if we can find things that just help us serve and support and give us that boost. And for myself, like I said, just building our studio and being there. And the 5 emotional needs, I know you've spoke of those too, like love, seen, heard, belong, and safe. And that's something that for myself, that's why I created Shell's Fitness. And so like I had this fitness and the soul center though, was just so people had a place to go, and giving those tools and letting them know they're loved, seen, heard, belong in a safe place. And then that also helps myself if I can help others. And yeah, for myself, I've actually worked at the women's shelter in Melfort with NEOS, and I'm working right now with the Northern Projects that going to Cumberland House I have, and that's something I want to continue with my yoga, with my kids' yoga. The first thing we had done was we had built a house for a family in the Dominican, and they gave way back more once we shared our story. Once you share your story too, it opens other people to share your story, and you can like that release of that feel good that you can help each other. And yeah, and another thing too, just by doing the work too, this is a saying that I heard, is that shame dies when your story's told in a safe place. And that's something that I've tried to create here. So, and then that just
Yes, and
helps myself too by.
it's a
Go ahead.
beautiful center that you and Norm have created. Honestly, it's like if any of you watching have never been to Shell's Fitness and Soul Center and their yard, it's just it just holds this energy that's and this presence that's indescribable. You have to experience it. And I love going there. And I always have amazing emotional releases when I go there, because just all the hard energy you poured into creating that space, we feel it as soon as we walk in. And so honestly, like, kudos to both of you for pouring your souls into that project. And I just hope so many people walk through your doors in the next few and take advantage of a lot of the things that you offer. Especially now you're doing a lot of complimentary services via Zoom and on your Facebook page. And it's an overwhelming time for people. So I don't know how, if you just continue to offer that, and it's beautiful. It's a real gift to everyone who knows you and who gets to be in your circle. So
Thank you. Yeah, I'm just starting on Monday doing a 6-week program. And so I'm offering it for 2 people for free if they want to do it. So it's Monday mornings yoga, Tuesday is a boot camp, and Thursday morning's a boot camp. And then Thursday is an evening yin roll and release. And they all have a little bit of meditation in them too, and some tips throughout the week. But I'm offering for 2 people for free. So if you and a friend or family want to join up together.
nice.
So yeah, if it was like $15 a class is usually what I charge. So the value is $720 that you can win for free. You sign up, but yeah, and then it's only, but I'm doing it for $150 so you get 4 classes a week for 24 classes.
Wow.
So via Zoom. So yeah, I'm hoping lots of people join. It's starting on Monday. And yeah, and then I'm going to do my teen yoga too, which I love working with the teens, because for myself, I feel like a lot of my struggles really started in the teens.
Yeah.
And so with everything I've learned, and I've taken my my children's yoga and also with meditation. So giving those tools, because I feel like, yeah, like I just hope that these teens can take those tools, and a lot of struggles I went through can prevent a lot of those struggles too.
Well, I know you certainly
if
have
they,
touched my life, and so many people who know you can attest to the same. Is that, and I feel like those of us that are in this space and do this work, even if we can just, help shift one lens and change one life, it's like just worth it, right? It's
mm-hmm,
all worth it.
mm-hmm.
So before we end the interview, I just want to ask you just to leave us with I don't know, one of your most favorite inspiring quotes or, words of wisdom that you live by, or even just a mantra that you really try to follow to help you continue your own journey of resiliency.
Um, Actually, this is one that I really, it's called a Hopono prayer. Have you heard of that?
Yes, yes, I have.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Or the Serenity Prayer. It just, those I think both relate to resiliency. Is in by understanding there's something bigger going on. The Hopono prayer is knowing there's a divine connection and that where everybody is on their path, and it's by saying, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you, and connecting the divine power and just letting everybody be on their own path. And so like I feel like forgiveness to me is not about, you can still do that, you don't have to have somebody in your life, but you can show that you can forgive them and understand that there's an we're, if you believe we're all children of God, that that we don't understand why it happens or why things happen to us or why people are a certain way, but just just offering that prayer up, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you, and just going back to that, knowing that everybody is of love,
Mm-hmm.
and but we're also human and we make mistakes and we don't understand why, and some people can't, have a hard time connecting to that, and so they become do human things that we don't understand. But like, and there's another saying too, is that everybody has a Hitler in them, or they have a Mother Teresa in them. So we can all do things, and there's a whole variation in that. But just saying that, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you, and
Mm,
letting everybody be where they are, and it's their journey, and we're not to judge it. Yeah.
absolutely. I love that. Yeah, meeting people where they're at. Oh, I'm so thankful that you took this afternoon. I know it took a little bit to juggle and we had to press pause a couple times because hashtag real life here with Laura. But I really thank you for sharing your
Yeah.
gifts and your words of wisdom with all of my viewers. And I hope that they check out, and I'm going to share your link and hope that they really do tune into some of the beautiful offerings that you have. So thank you again for joining me this afternoon, my friend.
And thanks for all the work you do.
Thank you.
Go back to your beautiful family.